Good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon. Harshita, Lakshmi Priya, Bhavna, Sri Lakshmi. Good afternoon. Chandana, you were absent yesterday or joined with the other number? After a long time, I can see you. Even Balu was absent yesterday. Good afternoon, Kitu. Monica, Padmavati, Vardhini. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Bharat Kumar. Good afternoon, Tejaswini. Yeah, I think most of the students have joined. 41 are there. Okay, we'll start. Almost everybody have joined. Okay, tell me, did I give you any particular homework? I think I have given you one sequence to solve. Did you guys solve that? Okay, just give me a minute. Can you hear me now? Am I audible properly now? Okay. Okay, huh. I was saying that did I give you any sequence to solve sorting sequence? Did I give any sequence to sort? Okay, fine. Okay, so we have actually completed the first unit. All the theoretical concepts have been completed. Today we'll be looking at the algorithms. Okay, the merge sorting algorithms which we have seen, bubble sort, selection sort, and merge sort. Those algorithms we'll look at. That if it is asked in paper, how will you be writing that, and how can you even write the code for that? Okay, these two things we will see today. We'll go with the easiest only. Okay, it is very easy. There is nothing to worry about it in this also. You already know the theoretical concepts. We'll start with bubble sort. That is the easiest. Okay, what is the bubble sort? How do we sort the elements with the help of bubble sort? Yes, with the help of bubble sort, how do we sort the elements? What is means which technique, which trick are you using to solve with the help of bubble sort? If this is my sequence and I want to order this sequence in an increasing order, then what will we do? Right, I'll continuously iterate the array and I'll be putting some conditions, right? So what will those conditions be? What conditions will I be using? For bubble sort, I'll be doing some conditions, some comparison, something I'll be doing, no? So what exactly am I doing in bubble sort? Swapping, yes, right? I'm going to swap the numbers, but which numbers am I going to swap? In selection sort also I do swapping only. But what is the difference in bubble sort over here? I am going to take which elements to swap? Which elements am I going to swap? Yes, which elements I am going to swap? You know this. Yes. Don't know the word for that. We will be swapping adjacent elements. Remember, adjacent elements, the elements which are side by side, that will be swapping. You remember it? Okay, we'll just do that over here. If in exam this is asked, this is my sequence and it is asked that this sequence you have to arrange or sort in an ascending order, that is increasing order, then in this case what will you be doing? You will have to iterate some loops, right? As Harshita said, I need to do some continuous iteration. Now for that particular iteration, what do I need to do? I need to have two for loops. Okay, always remember, when you are dealing with bubble sort, you will be having two for loops. Okay, one with I, one with j variable. And in that for loop, I'm going to have some conditions. I'm going to do the sorting inside that for loop. Okay, so it will look something like this. I will have a for loop for I. Inside that for loop, I will have one more for loop for j. Inside that for loop, I am going to have some if condition. And if this condition is true, then I will swap the numbers. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. Now I'll just write these things inside this. You just listen to this carefully. I'm just not explaining you right now. Just remember this and give it a minute. I'll explain. Here I am going to swap array of j and array of j plus 1. Okay, so see, what do we have over here? What do we have over here? I have one for loop. Inside this for loop, I have one more for loop. Inside this for loop, again, I have one if condition. And after swapping is done, I'll be closing my inner for loop and the outside for loop also. Okay, yeah, let's not. Something like this I'll be writing. Okay. Okay, I'll explain this in a minute. Now see, I have two for loops written over here. These are nested for loops, means this j for loop is written inside this I for loop. So this for loop will go from where to where? It will start from 0, obviously, right? We are going to start this for I and j both from 0, but until which value we have to execute this for loop, that we have to determine. Okay, for that we will write this algorithm, but I'll not say it is an algorithm as such, because we are not going to write any kind of lines over here. Algorithm is nothing but lines, no, but we will not write lines over here. Instead, what am I going to do? Look over here. I am going to start the for loop for I from 0. When I am inside this for loop, I will go further inside the j loop. Just assume that the condition is true, and then I will be having j is equal to 0 also, right? Then after that, I want to operate on this sequence 4, 5, 3, 1, and 2. Okay, I want to operate on this sequence. So now, what have I written over here? Array of j and array of j plus 1 I have to compare. Okay, array of j and array of j plus 1. Now over here, what comparison I'm doing? Okay, what is array of j? J is nothing but 0 right now. See, j is nothing but 0 right now. So array of 0 is nothing but what? This is my 0th element, this is my first, this is my second, this is my third, and this is my 4th element of my array. Okay, I have not drawn an array, I have just written the sequence inside the array. Now, j of array of 0 over here, substituting the value of j as 0. So which element is this? 5, and array of j plus 1 means these 4. So these two value I'm comparing. I am just checking whether array of j, that is 5, is greater than j plus 1, that is 4, or not. If this condition satisfies, means if it is greater, 5 is greater than 4, no, then I have to do what? I have to swap. Okay, so if I swap these two numbers, what output will I get? I'll get over here 4, 5, and the remaining values will remain same, 4, 5, 3, 1, 2. Okay, so this is my output after this step. Now, next step, I will remain equal to 0 only, because we have not gone to this for loops. Nested for loops, how do they work? First, my I will be equal to 0, and I have to complete the whole j loop. Then only I can go to the for loop for I. Okay, the outer for loop. Once I'm completed with the inner for loop, then only I can go forward, right? So what will I be doing over here? My j has increased. Now what am I going to do? For j is equal to 1, these values inside this array of j and array of j plus 1 will change. Now array of 1 means which value? This 5, and array of 1 plus 1, that is 2, means this 3 values. This is what I'm going to compare and swap. Then my output will be 4, 3, 5, 1, 2, right? Then again I'll increase the value of j. My j will go from 1 to 2. Then again for 2, this is my index 2 and this is my index 3. This is what I'm going to compare and again swap. So I'll have 4, 3, 1, 5, and 2, right? Here also j will increment. J is equal to 3, because in for loop we are not just giving the initial value, that is not just giving the range, but also giving I plus plus and j plus plus at the end. No, so this j will keep on incrementing. Then after that, what will I do? I'll be comparing these two. What will be the output for this? 4, 3, 1, 2, and 5. Now here, if I go for j is equal to 4, I cannot compare with 4 and 4 plus 1, that is 5, because there is no fifth element. No, fifth element is not present, so I will stop over here. Okay, that means my condition will become true. Okay, my condition will become false for j is equal to 4. I cannot go further. This is my last swap. I cannot compare this number with any other number. It is not possible because there is no number. So I will stop over here and I will go for next iteration. Okay, for I is equal to 0 pass or step. These iterations, what I am doing, this each iteration is called as, this each line is called as a pass. Okay, so this is my I is equal to 0 pass. This whole is my I is equal to 0 pass, and this each is, I will call it as j equal to 0 pass, j1 pass, j2 pass. Okay, like this I will call it as. So if the interviewer asks you, so remember this, it is called as the pass. Okay, then let's go further. Now after this, my for loop for j has been completed. No, I have come to an end, but I is remaining, so I will increment I. So I will increment I is equal to 1 now, because previously it was 0, and I will start again from j is equal to 0. Then what sequence am I having over here? I have this sequence over here, the previous one. Then again j of 0 means these two elements I'll have to compare, 4 and 3. Then after that, what will I get the output as? 3, 4, 1, 2 and 5 will remain as it is. Then for j is equal to 1, I am just repeating these steps. Okay, just look at the pattern. What pattern am I getting? Just analyze that pattern. So I'll have 3, I'll have 1, then 4, then 2, then 5. Am I right? This is right. Then I will go for j is equal to 2. Now when j is equal to 2, what sequence will I get? Tell me. Write in the chat box what sequence will I get for j is equal to 2. When j is equal to 2, what sequence will I get? I will be comparing which elements? Now j is equal to 2 means 0, 1, 2. So this 2 and 2 plus 1, this, that is j plus 1. That is these two I am going to compare. So what will be my final output? I will have 3, 1, 2, 4 and 5. Okay, this is what I am going to have. Fine. Then after that, j is equal to 3 and 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, did I do something mistake over here? Okay, no. Okay, so see now what is happening over here. This is the last pass, but did you see the pattern over here? The number 5 is moving forward. One step ahead it is moving. This number 5. Here also, this number 4. That is the second greatest number, is moving forward one step ahead. Okay, means what are we doing over here? We are bubbling out the largest element, the largest of all the values, means this first value. I am taking the first value and putting it at the end. Now that first value can be anything. This first value has reached the end. Now this 4 also I am making it reach the end. Now obviously if I have pushed the first value at the end, I don't need to do this pass. Okay, I don't need to compare this j is equal to 3, because I already know that this 4 is less than 5. Therefore no need to compare it again. Okay, so here you will stop over here only. Okay, you will stop over here for j is equal to 2. You will not go and compare for j equal to 3 over here. Okay, now done with this, no passes left, but still this is unordered. So I will have to do this process one more time. Now my I will be equal to 2. J will start from 0 again. right? And what sequence am I having over here? 4, 3, 1, 2, 5. And what am I going to compare over here? These elements, output will be 3, 4, 1, 2, and 5. Then again, j will go to 0. From 0, it will go to 1. Then compare these two elements. Just look at this carefully now. I will have 3, 1, 4, 2, and 5. Okay. Now, what is happening over here? For j is equal to 2, this 4 has, okay, where are you guys? Why didn't you tell me this? I wrote the wrong sequence. I'll have to write it again. Okay, see, I was equal to 2, I wrote the wrong sequence. J was equal to 0, and this sequence was 3, 1, 2, 4, 5. I wrote it wrong. 4, 5, 3, 1, 2, 4, 5. Okay, now it will be fine. For j is equal to 1, you are getting the sequence as the first value you were swapping, no? So you have it like this: 2, 4, 5, right? You are swapping this over here. For j is equal to 1, you will swap this. This is the first index and the next one. And you will have the output as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, then the last swap is left. See, this is already swapped. These two numbers are already swapped. Even these two numbers have been swapped. Okay, just like we skipped the swap for 4 and 5, we are going to skip the swap for 3 and 4 also, because here this 3 has been bubbled out. Therefore, no need to swap this furthermore. Okay, no need to swap it furthermore. So what I'll be doing, I'll be stopping over here. Okay, but now my computer doesn't know that this list has been sorted. Okay, my computer doesn't know that. Or maybe if I had the values like this, if instead of 1 and 2, if I had 2 and 1 over here, okay, everywhere 2 and 1, if I go on changing, then here also I would have had the value 2 and 1. In this case, I would have to execute this loop one more time, no? So my computer doesn't know what values are inside this. It is just comparing. Okay, it doesn't know what is there inside, and that he has found the sorted list or not. Therefore, we have to execute this loop one more time. Okay, that is necessary. The computer will do it by default. So over here we have this sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So one last swap will happen over here. One last comparison will happen over here, but the condition is getting false over here, and therefore swapping will not happen over here. The numbers will remain as it is. Okay, and here we come to an end. Okay, now can you see the pattern over here? Can you see the pattern? See, I need to find what? Two things I know, that I need to compare these two elements and then swap. This condition I know now. Okay, this condition I know. I can write that inside a code directly. But what will you write inside this for loop? See, how do you usually write the for loops? You give some range inside the for loop. No, you write it like this: for I starting from 0, I less than some number, you write 3, 4, or suppose you are writing n and then I plus plus. In this particular way, you write the for loop, right? But now over here, what will you write in this cases? that you can analyze with the help of this algorithm. Now see, how many times the I loop is going on? I is going from 0. Okay, so I can write 0 over here. Okay, I is going from 0, 1, 2 and 3 only. I is not going up till 4. Now you have to find a relation such that in terms of n is nothing but what? N is nothing but the length of your array, the length of your sequence. So what is, how much is the length of the sequence over here? 5. There are 5 elements inside this sequence, right? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 elements are there. So my n is equal to 5. Therefore, in terms of n, if I write n over here, I less than n, that is I less than 5, how many times my loop will execute? If I write n over here from 0 to n, how many times my loop is going to execute? Yes. How many times my loop will execute? For 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4 times, because this is only less than, means one value less it will be considered, means my loop will go from 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4 also. But I am not executing 4. I am stopping over here only, I equal to 3. So therefore, what do I need to do? I'll just do this. 5 minus 1 is 4, no? So instead of writing only n, I'll write n minus 1. Okay, means over here, it is going from 0 to n minus 1. Okay, then come for the j loop. Now, let's find the relationship between j also. Just listen to this carefully. See what I'm doing. This is how you can find the relationship on your own also between two variables. This is very important. See, I have these variables I and j. And see, when I is equal to 0, when I is equal to 0, how many times is j executing? 0 to 3, right? It is executing from 0 to 3. That is 4 times it is executing, right? 4 times it is executing. When I is equal to 1, when I is equal to 1, it is executing 3 times, 0, 1, 2, 3. That is 3 times my j loop will execute. Then when I is equal to 2, j loop will execute 2 times. When I is equal to 3, j loop is executing only 1 time. Okay. So now anyway I'm going to increment 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I start from I and increment with the help of I plus plus, it is easy to increment to 1, 2, 3. Easy to get these values. But what about 4, 3, 2, 1? I have to write this 4, 3, 2, 1 in such a way that some equation in terms of n is formed. So what will I write? This 4 can be written like this. 5 minus this ith value. Okay, I'll write over here. 5 minus I, that is 0, minus 1. So what is 5 minus I is 0. 5 minus 0 is 5 only. Minus 1 is 4. So I'm getting 4 over here. Now this 3 can be written like this. Again, 5 minus I. That I is nothing but what? It is 1, right? 5 minus 1 is equal to 3. Then this also can be written like this. 5 minus 2 minus 1. I am just breaking up this number. 5 minus 3 minus 1. Okay, here I have 0. So this equation is giving me these values. The 5 is constant. I can write for this 5, I can write n because inside n we have 5. For 1, I can write 1 only because it is a constant over here. And this is nothing but what? 0, 1, 2, 3. This value is similar to this I, right? So I can just write I for this. That is how I got this equation. So over here, when I'm writing this J loop, my J loop will go from 0 to n minus I minus 1. Okay. Understood this? How this range I calculated? How I decided that I should write n minus I minus 1? Understood this? I have just written this such that I should get the value as 4, 3, 2, 1. Means in the terms of I and in the terms of n, I have written this equation. Okay, I have just generalized this. Why have I done this now? Because see, I could have written values also over here. Over here also I could have written the number directly as 4 or 5. But the length of this array, the length of the sequence can change with each and every sequence, no? Right now I have given you 5 numbers, but it may be possible that I give you 10 numbers, 20 numbers, 100 or anything. I can give you n numbers over here. So for each and every length of sequence, this should be possible. That is why in terms of n and I have written this equation. Okay. So I have almost done 50% of the code. 50% of the code is done. I'll just share the screen to you. I'll share the code to you guys. Just give me a minute so that you can actually see that what code are we writing. Okay, can you guys see it? Code is visible to you? Okay, I think it's very small. I'll just zoom out. But can you see the length of the code? Okay, don't get scared. It's a very small code. It's a very small code. There is nothing in that code. Once I tell you what is that inside that code, you will say that it's nothing. And can you see any similarity in between this code? Is there any similarity in this code? I'll say you have learned this previously also. There is nothing new in this. Okay, let's see. Pointers are there, right? But not only pointers. See over here in this code, I have 4 functions. This is my one function. This is my swapping function. Okay. This whole void swap is my swapping function. Why am I using swapping? Because I am going to swap the numbers, no? Check the condition and then swap the numbers. So for that I have this swapping function. This is the main function, my bubble sort function to sort the arrays. Then this function over here. This function over here is nothing but your function to print the array, means to give the output. You'll be sorting it out no first. So you are just going to display the array, nothing else. And this is your main function. Inside this main function, you will give the sequence, means whatever is your input, and these 3 functions over here, all 3 functions you are going to call inside this main function. Okay, for that purpose we have this main function. Okay, now how to swap the numbers, you already know this part. How to print the array, display the elements of array, you already know. How to give input to the array, that also you already know. We have done this code previously. The main part that you need to know is this, the bubble sort. How do we do bubble sort? Even half of the part of bubble sort you have completed right now. And how many lines of code is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hardly 5 lines are there. Okay, it is very easy. This is all just supplementary part, which you have already seen previously. Okay, so let's see this code. Let's see how it is working. From main function we'll move. I think it is now visible. I've zoomed this particular screen. I think it's visible to everybody. Okay, see, in my main function, this is my sequence. Okay, here I am having sequence. Okay, I'll just take a smaller sequence. Let's not have a bigger sequence. 5, 4, 3, 1, 2. The sequence that we studied right now, that only sequence I'm taking over here. Now, what am I having over here? This is my sequence declaration. And see, look at this line over here. This is my variable declaration, and I am initializing that variable. Now, what have I written over here? What is this line? You have seen this line previously also. You've seen this line previously. What is this line? Size of array divided by size of array of 0. Here I have found out the length of the array. Now tell me what is the length of this array. Okay, this array. For this array, what is the length? Tell me. What is the size of the array? Tell me. Don't tell me the length. The size of the array, you tell me. 5? Sure. Okay. If I have this array of 3 elements, what will be the size of these 3 elements? This array of size 3? 3 or something else? See, I am using the size of operator over here. Now, what will happen with the size of operator? See, this is suppose an integer array. Okay, we are considering integer array over here. Therefore, here we will have integer elements. For each individual elements, 4 bytes will be allocated. Now tell me what will be the total size of the array. Now tell me the size of the array. Size of array. What will it be now? For this particular size over here, which I have drawn in green. What will be the size of this array? Yes, easy. This is of 4 bytes. This block is of 4 bytes. This is of 4 bytes. Means total. The total size of this is 4 plus 4 plus 4. That is 12. Okay. Getting this? So just like that, even this whole array is of size how much? It will give you a size of what? Tell me. For this 5, I have 4 bytes. For this 4, I have 4 bytes. For this 3, I have 4 bytes. For this 1, I have 4 bytes. For 2, also I have 4 bytes. So in total, what will be the size of this whole array? Yes, what will be the size of the whole array? Tell me. Yes, write in the chat box. Write the answer in the chat box. $20. I will have 20 over here. So shall I write 20? I'm going to have 20 as the size. Now, what have I used? Divided by 20 divided by size of array of 0. Array of 0 is nothing but what? 0th element. That is the size of this 5th element. Now, the size of this 5th element is only 4 bytes, no? So, I'll divide this by 4. So, what am I getting over here? I am getting 5 over here as my answer. Okay, I have 5 as my answer. So that is nothing but the length of the array. Means I am just finding out that how many elements are there inside the array. Okay, this size of operator will give me the actual size. It will consider each and every byte. It will not consider how many elements are there inside it. because inside this array also we have 4 divisions. This whole element is taking 4 different bytes. So the size will be according to the bytes only. Therefore, we'll be having the size of the whole array as 20. 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. The size of the integer is considered over here. And one element, a single element is of size how much? Is of size integer. No, integer is of size 4. That is why divided by 4. Then only I will know that how many elements are there inside this array. Right? This whole array is of size 12. And if I divide it with 4, I'll be getting 3. No? That means 3 elements are there inside this array. So that is why we have used this particular line, so that I know what is the length of the array, not the size of the array. Length will give me how many values are there. Size will give me the memory size. Okay. So here I am done with one job. I have the length of the array. Now, after that, what have I written? After that, I have used the bubble sort function. Okay, I have used the bubble sort function over here. This is my bubble sort function. This is the function name. And here I am having 2 parameters written inside. So I am passing array, that is this array I am passing inside this bubble sort function, and this n, that is nothing but the length that I obtained over here at this point. That length I am passing in my function, bubble sort function. Okay, this is nothing but my function call. Right? Now, when my function is called, my execution pointer will go where? My execution pointer will go to this function. No? Now, where is this function written? I'll go find that. Okay, here is my function. This is my function definition, right, for bubble sort. Now, inside this bubble sort, I have 2 parameters, right? I have the array, I have the size, the length of the array. Now, inside this, I have just taken 2 variables, I and j, so that I can write the I and j inside my for loop. Okay. And we have seen that how we can give the range to this I and j. How we can do that? We just have to see. I have written I will go from 0 to n minus 1. Now this n minus 1. N is what? 5. 5 minus 1 is nothing but what? 4, right? Now, if I write 4 over here, my I will go for how many values? It will go from 0, 1, 2, 3, right? This 4 will not be considered because I'm writing only less than sign over here. If I write this equal to, if I write equal to over here, then this 4 will be considered, right? Then my I will go from 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. But since I am not writing this equal to sign over here, my I will go until 3 only. It will not go for 4. Right? So in terms of n, I have represented 4. And this is nothing but incrementing. I am just incrementing one value. Then inside this for loop, I am having another for loop. Okay, this for loop is written inside this for loop because it is the next immediate line. Okay, it is the next immediate line. Then for this particular for loop, what are we doing? Starting from 0 till n minus I minus 1. Now what is n minus I minus 1? That is nothing but, here we have seen, over here we saw n minus I minus 1. This equation over here is representing n minus I minus 1. N is 5. I, the value of I, that is the recent I. At that iteration, what I is there? Minus 1. So this is nothing but what I have written in J loop. Okay, that only I wrote in the J loop, no, n minus I minus 1. And then just keep on incrementing the value of J. Okay. Then what I have done? I have put if condition that if array of j is greater than array of j plus 1. That is, two adjacent elements I have compared. Two side by side elements I have compared. If the first number, that is the number to the left, is greater than the number to the right, then what I need to do? Then I need to swap. So here, this is again a function call. Okay, this swap is my function name. This swap is my function name, and these are the two parameters or arguments of my function. Okay, but I have passed ampersand over here. I am not passing the values. I am passing the address over here. Why am I passing the address? Because if I don't pass this address, if I don't write this, if I pass only the values, then in that case, the actual parameters will not change. You remember the actual parameters means actually the values will not change. How does the swapping operation happens? How is the swapping operation performed? You are remembering that or not? I'll just quickly give a recap of swapping also. I know many of the people might have forgotten swapping by now. So this is my array of j. I'll write it in short, okay? Array of j and all I'll not write. And this is my j plus 1. Okay, suppose this is my j plus 1, this is my j, and this is my xp, and this is my yp. Okay, now if these are not pointers, these are just normal variables. Okay, and I have written these normal variables inside my swap function. See over here. Just assume that pointer is not present over here. Okay, this is pointer. No, this star is not present over here. I'll just erase this. Okay, this is not present. This is not present. This is just a normal variable xp and yp. No pointer. Now, in that case, what happens? And this ampersand is also not present over here. Now, what happens? This array of j means whatever value is over here. Suppose the values inside this is 6 and 1. Okay, let's just assume we have 6 and 1 value over here. So what will happen? I am passing 6 and 1 over here. Now, when I go to this function call at this place, what will happen? The 6 and 1 will be copied inside xp and yp. So inside xp, this is my xp, I'll copy 6. Inside my yp, I will copy the value 1. Okay. And how am I doing the swapping? I am taking a temporary variable. Suppose this is my temporary variable. Okay, this is my temporary variable. So what will I be doing? I'll put the value of xp inside temp. Here I will have 6 then. I'll put the value of yp inside xp. I'll erase this value. Over here I'll be having 1, right? Because I have put the yp inside xp just like mentioned over here. Then after that, what have I done? I have put the temp value inside yp. So this will become 6 now. So previously 6 and 1 were there. Now we have 1 and 6. The numbers are swapped. Done swapping. But over here, the array elements are this, no? These two are array elements. These are not array elements. I wanted to swap this j and j plus 1. Because inside my array, if this is my array, suppose my j is equal to 1 at that iteration, means this particular element, and j plus 1, that is this particular element. I want to swap these two elements which are present at the location array of j and array of j plus 1. But swapping operation is not happening there. It is not happening at this location. It is happening at the xp and yp variables. That is not what I want. Right? Means actually the swapping is not happening at all. I want swapping over here. So to avoid this, what am I going to do? I'll just erase this now. Okay, now what am I going to have over here? I am going to pass the addresses inside this. Okay. Now let's get back to this. See over here, I'll erase this now. I have pointer and this reference operator. Now, since I am writing this ampersand, that means the address of array of j, that is this particular value, will be passed. Suppose the address of this is 61 and the address of this is 64. Let's assume, okay, address can be anything. Let's assume this. So what am I doing? I am passing the addresses over here. Means inside this xp, what will be stored? The address will be stored instead of storing the values. Okay, these addresses are stored inside this. That means what? This is pointing here and this is pointing over here to that location. Now when I'm doing swapping, see what have I written? Dereferenced xp I am storing inside temp variable. Now xp is this. Inside xp I have 61, but dereferenced 61 means what? I have to go at this address 61 and get the value. So I'll get the 6 value and write it inside the temp variable. Okay. Then I am doing what? I am taking the dereference value of yp, that is 1 from here. Dereference value of yp I am taking and putting it inside dereferenced xp. This is dereferenced yp. Okay, this is dereferenced yp. I'll write it over here. This is dereferenced yp and this is dereferenced xp. Okay, I cannot draw star over here. I'm so sorry. It is very difficult to draw little things on the screen. Okay, so this is my dereferenced xp. That means I am taking this value from here and putting it inside dereferenced xp. So I have 1 over here. And whatever is inside temp variable, that I am storing inside dereferenced yp, means this. So I am storing the value 6 over here now. So now, are the values swapped inside j and j plus 1? That is what we wanted. No, we wanted the swapping to happen over here inside the array location, not on some other variables only. So now the swapping is happening. That is why to be able to change the actual parameters also, we need to use the pointers over here. Okay. So that is how we have completed swapping. Okay, done with swapping. So whenever this function is called over here, this particular swapping operation will happen. Okay, now once we are done with this swapping, we will again go at this position. Okay, at this for loop. We will not go to the outer for loop, we'll go to the inner for loop only. That will complete first. Now that j will be incrementing to 1, right? This j was 0. Now it will go and become 1. It is incrementing with the help of this. Now here I can write 1. This is 1 plus 1, that is 2. So here also swapping of other numbers is happening. So like this j will keep on going from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 until and unless this condition becomes false. Until then this for loop will execute. Once this condition becomes false and this loop has come to an end, okay, this whole loop has come to an end, then my execution pointer will go to this for loop again. Then I will increment again for 1. Then again this for loop will execute until and unless this condition is false. Like this, until and unless this condition becomes false, this whole for loop will keep on executing. And once we are done with it, that is once we are coming at the end of bubble sort function, my execution pointer will return back to where it left. Okay, it will return back to where it left from. So where it left from, at this position, no, it was over here. So I will start executing from this line now. Okay, so this is just for decoration purpose. This printf statement over here is just for decoration purpose. Then I'll be printing array, and that also I am passing the new array now. See, I have written array over here. Okay, I have written array over here. Now this array is my new sorted array, because here I was passing this array 54312, but that array is sorted no with the help of this bubble sort function, right? This is sorted now. So here I will get a new sorted array. That is what I am passing inside this print array function. This is the name of the function. These are the parameters array and n. This is my print array function definition. Inside this I am passing array and size. Size is nothing but n only, right? Because those many numbers are there. And I am just writing a for loop. Inside that for loop, I am printing the value one by one. I am just incrementing this index from 0 to n, means I am traversing the array and printing all the elements. Okay, once I'm done with this, I'll come back where I left and end the program. Okay, so this is how my code is going to work. If I execute this, let's see. Okay, see the output. Are you getting the sorted list? I gave the value 5, 4, 3, 1, 2. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, getting this. If I increase the length, see over here, if I write this 44, 99, 345, I'm taking combinations over here. 2. Okay. Now what is the length of this array? The length of this array is too much, no? For this also the same code will work fine. See, do we have the proper output over here? Is it working fine? So for this purpose, we were taking the length as n, means generalized we were taking, so that whatever may be the length, your code will be able to do sorting for each and every type of number. Okay, for each and every type of number, your code will able to sort. Now let's try one thing. I'll write less than over here. Let's see what happens. What do I have if I change the sign? Is it sorted in decreasing order now? I changed the sign over there. See, what did I do? Here previously less than was there. Means if I write this, if I write less than over here, what is happening? The first element is less than 2 or not. That condition is checked. Okay, that condition is checked. Now, the first element is less than 2. If this condition is true, you swap the numbers. If not, you don't swap the numbers. Okay, I just did the opposite of it. You're getting this? Getting this? Means for descending order sorting, you just have to change this sign over here. Where it went? Here. Only change the sign over here from less than to greater than. Nothing else. Others, everything is same. Just take a screenshot of this code. Okay, it's very small, but I hope you'll be able to zoom and see the screenshot. I'll just erase these values. No need for this now. Otherwise, you'll get confused. Just take a screenshot of this code. Tell me once you're done. Just keep this code with you. Done? Done with this? Okay. Also, Take a screenshot of this also. It's a bit messy, but still, just keep it for your reference. This part to the left side, which I have written in blue, this sequence you will have to write in exams also. Okay, something like this you will be doing in exams also. If any sequence is given, you have to write it like this. No need to write sentences. Even if you write this correctly, this sorting diagrammatically, if you have done correct, if that question is for 5 marks, 10 marks, whatever are the marks, you'll get out of marks. No need to write a single line if this sorting is correct. Just do it like this. This parsing, I and j, the value of I and j should be proper, and this should be sorted properly. You'll get full marks. Okay. Just focus on this. Don't focus on codes right now. Focus on the concept. And one more thing, I'll give you one list. Just like you did for this, no? You do for this list also. Where shall I write it? I'll write it over here in red. I'll write this sequence over here. 22, 33, 11, 99, 44, 66, and okay, that's it. This is enough. Okay, take this sequence over here, and just like I have drawn over here, no, I have passed each and everything. Just like that, you try for this sequence also. Okay, try for this sequence, and those who are done, just take a screenshot of it. Write it anywhere. Write it on any page inside your book, on your laptop, on your mobile, on any board. Write it anywhere. Just try this. Take a photo of it and post it in the group. I'll check over there. Okay, let's see how many people are able to solve this. This is not your homework, not mandatory, but if you solve this on your own, right now you will say that you have understood everything. But if you solve this on your own, then in that case you will understand that okay, more things are there to this. Then only you will understand. And if today only if you do this, you won't have to do this again at the time of exam also. I am saying this because I learned this 7-8 years ago. I have learned this bubble sort 7-8 years ago, and today also I am remembering this. I did not have to open any book and look for this bubble sort. I still remember it because I did the same thing. That is why I am telling you. Just draw this one time, practice this one time. You will always remember this. Okay, very carefully and patiently practice this. It will hardly take 15 minutes, not more than 15 minutes. Okay, self study. This is not your homework, this is just a self study. Okay, and those who are done with that, you can post on the group so that I'll check whether you have done right or wrong, or I can just suggest you what are the right answers or give you some hints or help you out in solving it. Okay, so just try it out so that you will know that you are actually having doubts in this particular topic or not, whether you have understood it or not. Okay. Okay then. Shall we wrap up, or is anybody having any doubts, or shall we wrap it up? Yes. Yes, done. No doubts, no? Okay. If even if there are, let's just move on. And you can ask your doubts in the group itself, or you can message me also. Okay, better you ask in group. Okay, then I'll see you tomorrow. Try that sequence. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.